Hold on. Okay. All right. We're back. After a brief hiatus, we've got 2 weeks off, and now we're back. This is the QR code. And I'm Razor.
I'm Q.
Okay. And we're here after a tough fought Vikings loss to the Lions after the bye week. And tonight we're going to play the Rams. We got a lot of stuff to cover, so we're going to just breeze through it. The first of which being reactions to the Lions game.
Well, I was thinking we were going to split. I figured we were going to split with the Lions, but I figured it was a downhill skate if we actually won at home our home game with them. So but we lost. But a couple of things that a couple of takeaways that I got from it. The defense didn't play. I was more upset that the defense didn't play better off the bye week. That was the only thing. I mean, some people are going to have teams are going to have an off game, and none of us win it. We don't go into any week from 1 to week 17 thinking, or week 18 thinking that we're going to go undefeated. It's not going to, especially this team, it's not going to happen. I just thought it would have the defense would have played a little bit better. But that said, having the Vikings not been behind except for that slight time with the Giants, I had a lot of respect for the way they came back toward the end of the game and at least got to the 1 point lead. Um, but the Lions impressed me just as much because those cats are real.
Yeah, the Lions have been on a steady upward trajectory since they started rebuilding the Dan Campbell years. And again, I give them a lot of credit. I've been in that stadium. I've been around those fans. I'm not a Lions fan. I don't hate them the way I hate the Packers, but these fans have been through a lot, and they deserve some. They deserve a little bit of joy. I don't know if I want to see them in the Super Bowl, but they are a scrappy team. They fight, and for them to come into our building, our defense didn't play especially well. I have a thought about that, which might be a little bit off the beaten track, but I'm not sure if Brian Flores showed them 100% of the defense. We have to play them twice and possibly three times. And it wasn't a walkthrough. It wasn't like a preseason game, but that defense looked very different from what we'd seen in the first 4 or 5 games. It looked very different.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if he was holding his cards close to the vest because of the fact that we have to face them twice. But it was a little strange seeing the defense allow so many big plays and so many points. But that being said, again, we're 5-1. We're still atop the division, although the Lions have mathematically they have the tiebreaker. This is a team that, unless you're insane, you didn't think was going to go 17-0. Like I said 8-9 at the beginning of the season. It's not looking like it's heading that way, but we'll have to see what happens from here out, because neither one of us predicted, to my knowledge, that we'd lose the game to the Lions at home.
That's
Um,
good.
so yeah, so strange things happen. I didn't think we'd beat the 49ers. I didn't think we'd beat Houston. Strange things happen. I'm gonna see. I'd like to see a different team come out tonight against the Rams. Speaking of the Rams, there's a lot of chatter which I can't ignore. They which some of it started with a guy that I've never heard of before. He has a sports bet site or sports knowledge site, and it was repeated by your boy Mike Florio. Mike Florio, big time Viking fan for those who don't know, long suffering, 50 years of suffering with this team, would love to see anything good happen for the Vikings. And he echoed the talk about Matthew Stafford. I am I think it would be insane to consider any change at quarterback 6 games in, 7 games in. I think that destroyed the chemistry of the team. You bring in, even though Matt Stafford would be an upgrade from Sam Darnold 1-to-1, he's familiar with Kevin O'Connell's system. He's familiar with the plays, but he doesn't have the chemistry. He doesn't have the time working with
He's
Just
9 years
just
old.
Jefferson.
He's 9 years older.
Yeah. I mean, they're just it's if we were looking to make a Super Bowl run this year, which I'm sorry, as I said to a lot of younger fans, not every year is the Super Bowl year. Not every year is the plan was JJ McCarthy in 2025, 2026. That's when our window opens up. I think sticking to that plan works. Win some games this year, but you not every year is going to be a Super Bowl year. You start off 5-0, 5-1, and people say, "Oh, this should be no." Not every year is the year you're going to win the Super Bowl. It's not just like not every year is a good draft year for certain positions. Quarterback, this was a quarterback rich year. Next year, not so much. Next year, not so much. Your thoughts on the Stafford chatter?
Well, my whole thing was, look, we were all in. We were in at all that money at the quarterback position, and let's face it, uh, Sam Darnold is playing some pretty damn good football at the quarterback position, and we rented him for a year. It's no more than renting Matthew Stafford for a year. So it makes absolutely no sense to tie up more money into the quarterback position when we have we have some continuity going on with a quarterback that has proven that he can actually play. He didn't play that badly Sunday. Uh, I'm just going to throw that out there. We could have had a little bit more help on the running game, but overall, Darnold didn't play that badly. So he wasn't the reason that they lost the game. And by the way, if you lose a game, big deal. You one game.
So we're not going 17-0. We are not. Sorry,
No,
folks.
we
Those
were
losses are going to come from somewhere.
resolved. We were resolved to that. So I don't know where that chatter came from. And sometimes, you said it before. Sometimes 24 hours and on a 24-hour sports channel, there ain't 24 hours worth of sports. So somebody's going to say something. But there's nothing that would have made no sense. But most of all, where's the money coming from to deal with Matthew Stafford if we were going to bring him over? I mean, we were comfortably into that Darnold contract for $10 million. So,
To me, it's like okay, you're driving around. You've got a Rolls Royce sitting in the shop for a couple of weeks while they do repairs. You're driving around in your Hyundai, and it's a nice car. It's comfortable, and it's getting you where you need to go. Somebody drives by in a Lexus, you're thinking, "Hey, why don't I just get that?" Like, no, why don't you just stay in the Hyundai because your Rolls is going to be out of the shop soon? That's where we are right now. We knew that $10 million spent on a quarterback this year was a placeholder. We told Sam Darnold, we're drafting a quarterback. How do you like it? Yes, no. Sam Darnold said
and
yes.
he knows that.
Yeah.
What's so awesome about this is I can't wait to see how this. I'd love to see how this one plays out. But isn't it nice to know that when he becomes a free agent at the end of the year, he's probably going to recover a nice contract. Hell, might even be with the Rams. Who knows?
Who knows? Who
It
knows?
might even be with the Rams, but
It
it
could
can't come. It can't come at our expense.
no.
I mean, that's just the. Hmm.
That's absolutely and I the knee jerk reactions amongst some sports fans, among some Vikings fans, even that this is the year we got to do something. We got to changing quarterbacks 6 or 7 weeks in, unless there's an emergency situation, is no head coach's dream. It isn't. I mean, how do you present that to the team? Oh, guys, yeah, we won 5 games with Sam Darnold, but we're throwing him out and we're bringing in somebody who hasn't won any game. It it smacks of the New York Jets. It really does. And I'm going to be honest. It's like, here's a guy who's never won anything for us, but we think he can win. We don't know if he can win. He hasn't played. He hasn't practiced with our line. He hasn't practiced with our receivers. He hasn't practiced with our running backs. He hasn't practiced with our tight ends. Let's put him under center.
Yeah,
Why? Why would
it
you do
was.
that?
It was a very dumb. Like I said, the whole thing was a very dumb thing. It was beyond reckless speculation. That was reckless speculation. I think.
I don't get that, but like I said, it's 24-hour sports. Says you got to generate content, and Sam Darnold is a stopgap quarterback, folks. To those of you who didn't know, who got on board late, who didn't expect that, the success we're having with him was unexpected success, and it's great, but he's not our future. And if we're going into 2025, if we're going to training camp in 2025, and JJ McCarthy is not our starting quarterback, if Sam Darnold is our starting quarterback, if Nick Mullins is our starting quarterback, if if anybody else is our starting quarterback, this plan has failed. We're not doing this competitive rebuild again. We're not bringing in an old guy. We're not doing the Warren Moon, the Jim McMahon, Randall Cunningham. We've done that. We've done
Jeff
that. It didn't
George.
work. Yeah, yeah,
Oh
Jeff
my
George.
God,
Exactly.
Barack.
It
Oh,
didn't work. It didn't work. We know it didn't work. The definition of insanity: doing the same thing over and over and over again for 6 decades and expecting a different result. All right, so moving on, the next thing is the upcoming game, the game tonight against the Rams. We've got the possibility of TJ Hawkinson making his triumphant return with fresh set of legs there on the field. Although he may or may not have any rhythm with Sam Darnold because he hasn't played a game with him. So
he's
what?
just a tight end, though. Yeah.
I
Hey,
love that. I love that. He just a tight.
I guess
what
no, I'm not trying. I'm no, and I'm not hating on. I'm not hating on Hawk either.
what did
But
we give up for him? He's just a tight end. He better be more than just a tight end, considering what we traded for him.
yeah, but I know, but I mean the position itself. I think he can meld right in there because I don't think tight ends is much of a primary route runner as your X, Y, or Z receivers. So, but
Who is our Z receiver, by the way? Who's our number 3 receiver?
I don't know because I haven't seen Powell at
There
all.
you go. Exactly. TJ Hawkinson is our number 3 receiver. TJ
Well,
Hawkinson is our number 3 receiver. We've got Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson. You got the 3 sons. You got Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson.
we'll see how it we'll see how it happens with it. But I'd be happy to see him. I'd be happy to see him back. And well, I think it's going to be an exciting game. Now, I'm going to lead with because I remember a few couple weeks back you said, well, maybe we can look at our little picks for the year, and then probably at week 8 or so, and then
At
maybe
halftime. Mm-hmm.
rearrange a couple of things.
Yeah.
But this was a game that I picked as a loss. But I'm looking at the fortunes of the Rams, Nakua being out. Um, their pass game wasn't as it was underwhelming actually. So while it is a road game and now it's a primetime game, I'm thinking the Vikings win.
Well, like I said, I'm picking us to win this game also because, first of all, I think it's a bounce back game. I think too much has been made about the loss to the Lions, which, by the way, was a 1 point loss. Sam Darnold nearly, and I know close, only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, but he nearly pulled off the come from behind victory, which people say he doesn't do. You can't blame him for that loss, and I think that had we won that game, you wouldn't be hearing any chatter about us possibly not winning this game. The Rams are depleted, but I think Kevin O'Connell has something to show against this team again. I do. It's like there's certain teams coaches want to beat. Obviously, he wants to beat the Rams. I I think with Hawkinson back, it's another weapon. You can double cover Jefferson, but then you leave man to man with Addison. You leave man to man with Hawkinson, and Aaron Jones is going to be somewhere on the field. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. I think the greatest show on turf was the Rams back in the day. I think you're going to see that type of offense tonight. I think you're going to see a pull out, all stops, get crazy, try to run up the score offense just to keep the heat off of this team. Kevin O'Connell doesn't like coming to press conferences and having to say, "Oh, we didn't play well. We lost on the field. We left on the field." Justin Jefferson, who, to his credit, he's not whining, he's not complaining, he's not pulling a Stephon Diggs. But he's not happy. He's not happy with his production. He's not happy with the team's production. I don't think Justin Jefferson is the type of athlete that won't be happy with the team production and not do anything about it for a long period of time. Do you?
I do not.
Yeah.
And he's one of those guys that I'm going to do what I do, and then I'm going to do what I can do, and then everybody else jump on. And I think that's one of the things that makes him that guy. That's the thing that makes him the guy. And remember, the Vikings are doing this from the outside in. It's not the quarterback. It's the wide receiver. It's their star wide receiver. That's the face. That's the everything else. So
He's the
I
money.
think if
He's the money.
this, he's the money, but this is also that time where he saw that game last week. I'm figuring that you're going to get some extra production. You're going to get a little bit more production out of him, but watch out for Jordan Addison too, because now has there anything been said about his off the field issues?
So far, nothing. I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard of a suspension. I haven't heard any discipline. I haven't heard anything. So as of right now, he's still on the field. He's still playing.
Hmm.
And that may not be. I mean, the league. This may have been an incident. I mean, we don't know because he fell asleep. They didn't say he was driving drunk or anything. There weren't any injuries. Nobody was hurt. This may be not a slap on the wrist, but this may be a disciplinary warning where they say, look, and he may have had some extenuating circumstances, but we don't know. So, but I haven't heard anything about a suspension, which
I have a feeling that if they haven't done this now, he's probably out. But and we did forget somebody when we were talking about it. We talked about Naylor, who he every now and then he'll get one good catch a game, but he needs to get a little bit more active because again, the more touches that role players get on this on this team, the more one-on-one coverage they're going to have to draw, and when that happens, when you've got to defend one-on-one because even Naylor will burn you deep, it can become a really nasty. It can be a very devastating thing for defenses. So
absolutely, and Sam Darnold, for all his struggles with throwing intermediate passes, he's a deep ball master. He can put him right on the hands, the over the shoulder throws. He can throw those passes. So
got guys that can catch those balls too. That's the other thing because he had some. If we had a team full of Kadri Ishmaels running around back there, hey, we might be in trouble a little bit with a guy who can throw deep. But we got no missiles no more. This guy can do. These guys can do their thing. And Naylor, sometimes we just overlook that poor guy. And
I think he has to work his way into the respect. When you have Justin Jefferson obviously is number one, and then number two behind Justin Jefferson would be a number one on any team in the NFL, but Justin Jefferson is there. It's like back in the days of back in the days when I was a big horse racing fan, there was Triple Crown races, the Derby, the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont Stakes, and there were two horses, Alidar and Affirmed, and they ran neck and neck. They Affirmed won by a head, a neck, and a nose in those three races. You can only run the Derby when you're 3 years old, so you only get one shot. If Alidar had been born a year earlier or a year later, he would have been a Triple Crown winner. But unfortunately, when you run up against the greatest, it doesn't matter. That's the same thing with Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison is on a team where no matter how good he is,
he's still the second best receiver.
The second best receiver on the field by a lot. So if you're Jalen Naylor and you're not as good as Addison and you're not as good as Hawkinson, that puts you number 4 or 5 though. So.
Yeah, but that brother's out there going, "Well, I'm better than Brandon Powell."
No, yeah, exactly. It's a tough
room. He's keeping Powell off the field, but hey, Powell's running punts. He's returning punts. Yeah, so they're making they know he has use for the team has use for him, and that's just one of those things. Get in where you fit in, and we're seeing some really good things from a lot of cats that I don't think that they're big time. Some of those guys I don't think are big time players on other rosters, but at least at the receiver position, we're all set.
Yeah.
And I'm liking our chances with our quarterback tonight. So I'm thinking 28-17.
Okay. I'm going to say the team that both those teams are going to go a lot higher. I think this is going to be one of those ridiculous shootouts where it's late, it's West Coast, you're flying out there. The Rams didn't have to get beaten up by the Lions last week, so they're healthy. I think they're gonna put 30 points on the board, and I think they're still gonna lose. I think we're gonna hang 40 on them. I really do.
Just remember, Brian Flores' defense doesn't have to see them a second time this year.
That's right. I know
So
that's true,
that
but that's
that
true.
could be a mitigating factor in this whole thing, but
That
we'll see.
that's true. But the Brian Flores defense also played on Sunday, and they flew across the country, halfway across the country, and they so no, I don't think anybody's looking to get hurt. I think it's going to be 41. Would I say 20? I said 28. Yeah, I'm going to say 41-28 Vikings. I think there's going to be a high scoring affair
Yeah, a
where
shootout
yeah,
in Los Angeles.
absolutely. I think this is going to be an offensive game. I think we're going to have one or two rushing touchdowns, or I think like we're going to have a couple of play actions. We may even have a trick play. We may actually get to see Justin Jefferson throw that pass he wanted to throw last week against the
Coach,
Lions.
can I throw it this week? Can I throw
Yeah,
it this week?
yeah. Because I know he can throw the ball 50 yards in the air. I know Justin Jefferson can throw the ball. I've seen him do that. I know he can throw a 50-yard pass. So and maybe we get a little crazy and send out Will Reichert there to try a 65-yarder or something, just for shiggles, Oh, why
It
not?
was funny. But did you hear what KOC said last week? He said, "Yeah." He goes, "I would have thought about
Oh, yeah.
putting Reichert out there for a 68 yarder, but when it got to 73, he goes, nah."
Mhm. I would have put him out there for 68-yarder too, because when he kicks the 50-yarders, they sail 20 yards past.
Then they got, but then they got the pen, but then they got the penalty and they got backed up, so they had to punt.
Yeah. So, but
So,
but
and
at,
then they
at some point
punted,
it's going to
and the
happen.
Rams came down and scored.
At
I
some
think so.
at some point it's going to happen where it's going to be a must-win game, and they're going to send him out there because this kid, I mean, he's got the leg. He's got the leg. So, and that's all he does. He's a kicker. He is a kicker. So, I mean, he went to kicking camp. He wanted to be a kicker. We drafted him, and he's got the confidence. So, anyway, okay. So, anything else we need to cover before tonight's game?
Well, Aaron Rodgers still sucks. You can give him Devontae Freeman. Shoot, you can pull Jerry Rice out of retirement.
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams.
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
can pull. But no, what I'm saying is you can pull Jerry Rice out of retirement, and nobody's going to make Aaron Rodgers look anything. Aaron Rodgers still sucks, and that's my professional opinion. That's my personal opinion. That's my whatever opinion that I have about that guy.
Oh,
I just stop.
it was
He,
good.
he,
It was good to see Robert Saleh get a job, and of course, did you see that he got hired in Green Bay?
I did not
Yes, he got hired in Green Bay as a consultant. He's going to be consulting on the offensive side of the ball, which again,
really.
this makes sense because who better to work with your offense than a defensive guru? I mean, if you
Yeah.
know defense, you know what they have to try to stop, what they have to try to face. So he was brought on as a consultant, and so he's over there in Green Bay, where of course then nobody over there is doing any bitching about Aaron Rodgers. I guarantee he doesn't have anything bad to say about Aaron. Nobody in Green Bay has anything bad to say about Aaron. I'd love to hear those locker room conversations. Yeah, Robert
But
Saleh is now working for the Green Bay Packers.
he's probably saying, "Why say anything?"
Yeah,
But
exactly.
but irony of ironies, though. There's one other thought that I had, and this is about Jerry Jones because, um, so 2 weeks ago they got their behinds handed to them by the Detroit Lions. Pretty simple. When a local journalist was interviewing Jerry Jones about some of the off-season choices they made or off-season decisions they made,
Mm.
uh, Jerry Jones like went off and like threatened to get the guy fired from his job. And I was like, oh, And it's kind of crazy that when you say, okay, journalism's already out there. If you don't like the stories that the people are printing about you, well, do something about it.
Mhm.
Start winning.
Yeah.
It'll fix it. Um, but this whole thing, like, oh, I don't like you saying mean things to me, so I'm gonna see if I can get you fired. Where has
Mm.
Never mind.
Yeah, yeah. It is
Never
crazy now
mind.
that it is crazy now that the Cowboys they're trying to live up. They're like the Raiders were back in the late 90s, early 2000s. They're trying to live off the reputation of who they once were. And this is a salary cap league, so it's not like anybody. It's not like Major League Baseball where the Mets and the Yankees can outspend everybody. This is a salary cap league. The fact that the Cowboys have gone so long mired in mediocrity and they aren't doing anything about it can only be blamed on Jerry Jones. It can only be blamed on the ownership because
Mhm.
you can hire who you want. There's no salary cap on coaches. You can draft. You can bring in people who are football people.
You can hire a real general manager.
Yeah. It's like you're selling out that stadium every week, and Cowboy fans are disgruntled, and they're disgruntled and they complain. They show up every week because they're Dallas Cowboys. But at some point, the dam's got to burst. And some point, just like Al Davis, he's got to the point where he couldn't function anymore, and people took over the football operations. Leon Hess famously said, I'm 83 years old. I want to win now. At what point does somebody say to Jerry Jones, look, are you more interested in winning or running the Dallas Cowboys? And I think, that decision has to be made because those fans out there, and I've talked to a
Yeah,
few Cowboys fans, they're,
after a while, the
season ticket
people that are
holders.
paying a lot of money to go there are just going to say, no
They're
thanks.
losing it. They're losing it. The season ticket holders, I've talked to at least three of them in the last 2 weeks. They're, they're selling off the tickets. They're because, like I said, why would you pay that kind of money to sit and see this team? And it's not like Buffalo. And Buffalo Bills will always have their fan base because Buffalo is Buffalo. But it's like California baseball and California football and the Florida Marlins, which became the Miami Marlins. Nobody went to those games because in July you could find other things to do in South Beach other than watch a baseball team lose. Dallas
Right?
has other things going on. People can spend their money on other things. And for the Cowboys, just to say, how about them Cowboys? I wear the star. And year after year after year,
Next year, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, year after year after year, you're turning into the Cleveland Browns South, which
Yep.
last thing I'm going to actually, which brings me to my last comment, the Cleveland Browns. The
Ooh,
Cleveland
you
Browns
deserve it.
for my for my shall we say um I'm gonna say wild suspicion. My wild suspicion with the Cleveland Browns is that the non-contact injury that took their quarterback out for the season may have been that he suffered a bruised ego. I think the front office may have talked to him and said, "Hey, dude, one way or the other, you're off this field. We can't have you on this field anymore." And they've solved a problem, except now they have to deal with the money. They're on the hook for all that money, and
Well,
I think that's going to be worked out too.
What did the Minnesota Vikings do? They have a rookie. Now, the only problem is they're going to be forced to start said rookie quarterback. If they get a kid on a rookie contract, that's going to help eat some of that money because, well, normally if you had a good quarterback in the NFL, that guy's got 150, that guy got 150, $180 million contract. Well, you're not going to get that with a kid that you just signed in April. But
Right.
problem is there, how many playoff ready, how many NFL ready quarterbacks are coming? Maybe Ewers, maybe Shador Sanders. I don't know.
But
But then we also might have to count on Dion saying, my boy's not playing for Cleveland.
well,
No.
I don't even think it's a matter of who they're going to get because you can draft anybody. It's Deion Sanders and the Mannings. I think it's ridiculous that the NFL even allows. Well, if you're drafted to a bad team, tough. That you shouldn't be so good in college. That's the way the draft is supposed to work.
Right?
But hey, if not, let's just make it like a random, fire sale where people get to bid on players. Um, but that being said, like I said, the Sean Watson situation, it's not who the Browns are going to get to replace him. It's how are they going to get out from under that money they're paying a guy that they absolutely had no use for, and it was obvious they didn't. And like I said, he may have hurt himself. They said it was a non-contact injury. He may have torn his ACL, torn up his. He may have done that. Then again, he may not have because in this country, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's your video. Okay, in this country, we have the PHI laws, and we will never, unless he wants to disclose his medical records, we will never know what that examination said. And I don't think he's ever going to show his medical records and say, oh, no, see, I really don't have a torn ACL, MTL, whatever. So I think they may, I wouldn't be surprised if we hear that the Browns and Deshaun Watson have reached an agreement to some buyout, some settlement, and he's going to retire because all the mounting legal problems, all the stuff that was leaked recently, the new allegations coming out, and they just want it out of there. They just want it out of that contract. And now he's not playing anymore. Shocked for the rest of the year. Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
Well,
anyway, well, that's all I have for this week. Until tonight's game. Let's see, we've got tonight's game, and we were flexed. The Colts game was flexed.
oh, and I have a special. We'll have a special guest joining us next. We'll have a special guest joining us for our show next week.
Okay, looking forward to that.
Yes.
Like we said, we got flicked, so we've got a couple of primetime games, which we expected this one, but we didn't expect the upcoming one.
2 in a row, for crying out loud! This is going to be awesome. So hopefully this will work out just the way it needs to.
Yeah. Let's hope. So that's all I have. Got anything? Any final words there?
SKOL.
Oh, okay. Until then, until next time. It's QR code, Razor,
Q.
and SKOL Vikings.
Mm.